Well, good morning, everyone. Thomas Montgomery. It's a beautiful Monday morning, April 24th, 2023. It's a pleasure to be able to get with you, our distribution partners, each weekday morning to talk about strategies, tips, techniques, and share success stories. As we've talked at nauseum, what you and I do as technical advisors is help small business owners become credible enough on paper to qualify for the funding that they want and they need. Through our grant subsidized program, we guarantee a minimum of $100,000, but many of our clients want more. I was just working with one of our clients this morning. He's at the very last step of getting his paperwork done for an SBA loan for $150,000, for example. And we work with the bank closely, submitted the last of the paperwork in this morning. And so that should fund either later this week or next week. So we're having a lot of success in helping clients receive funding, not through some sort of magic potion or smoke and mirrors, certainly nothing illegal or unethical. It just comes down to the basics that we need to help clients be credible enough on paper to get approved. There's just really no mystery to that. And as we've talked about previously, it comes down to the 3 C's: credit, collateral, and capacity. Well, the QuickCash program, which we see shared on the screen at this moment, is a resource for those that don't yet qualify for cash funding. We launched the QuickCash not too long ago and have had amazing success. And what's happened, let's talk big picture, and then we'll talk about what's happening, which is a bit surprising. So using receivables as a method of adding collateral to a business's balance sheet has been a popular strategy for years. And it typically is done in much larger portfolios, larger increments. And we had one of our distribution partners come back to us and encourage us to find a solution that is broken down into smaller increments that we could use to help our clients. And so we started doing that with $100,000 portfolios. And that went pretty well. And we sold hundreds and hundreds of those to help clients. But then what we found is some clients just aren't even in a position to get a portfolio of 100,000. Let's break it down even smaller. And so we launched QuickCash, and that is a portfolio of $10,000. So with that, it allows any small business owner, and we defer the payment. So when we transfer the $10,000 of receivables over, the client's not paying anything for those receivables. We're deferring that until later. So we're literally transferring over assets, as shown here, to improve their balance sheet, to improve their liquidity, and help them with cash flow, but they're not paying a penny towards that portfolio. And of course, the portfolio is pennies on the dollar to begin with. So that is pretty damn inviting. And so with that, now my point I started to make a few minutes ago about what's been surprising is the number of clients that have come back and wanted to buy multiple portfolios. We have a number of clients that are buying QuickCash in volume. For example, this morning we just sold a portfolio of 10 QuickCash portfolios to one person. So of course that's $100,000 of assets. We have a buyer verbally, now they haven't paid yet or signed yet, supposedly buying a $250,000 block today. Well, why would someone buy bigger blocks of assets? Well, if you understand how QuickCash works, it makes all the sense in the world. If they're looking for a stronger balance sheet so they can qualify for more funding, if they're looking for improved liquidity, because liquidity is defined as cash plus cash equivalents, and then of course we work with them to liquidate to be able to improve cash flow. So they move those receivables into cash. And we've talked about that before. And so we have a couple different strategies to help clients liquidate the QuickCash. One of which is collections, just simply collecting the money that's owed. We can flip it and resell it for a profit, just like you could with rental real estate or other hard assets. We can litigate, which is very effective, and essentially suing the debtors on behalf of the client. And then also we can factor. We had a training last week where we talked about the new bank relationship we have, whereby the bank will actually factor the receivables. They'll factor 97%. So they withhold 3% for their profit, but they literally advance 97%. So we have to work with each client to see what the best way to liquidate is, but there's a number of different ways to liquidate, while the first two benefits are immediate. So what I wanted to do today is just go back and make sure that we're doing a good job of explaining how QuickCash works, because some of you are locking into this in volume and seeing great results. And we've talked about how you can monetize it, how you make $100 up front for each $10,000 portfolio. Now, I guess that's not a real big deal, but you're not taking on any risk. You're not really spending next to any time. So it's we refer to it as making $100 an hour with QuickCash. In many cases, not in all cases, but in many cases, clients are combining the credit and funding program with the QuickCash. And so when that happens, instead of just making the $100 a QuickCash portfolio, you're also making 3% or more on the capital raise of the client. With a $100,000 capital raise guaranteed, 3% of 100,000 is 3,000. So you're making over 3,000 per referred client. But let's go ahead and turn it over to you. What questions do any of you have regarding QuickCash? All right, so Timothy has the first question. So let me scroll down and make reference to it. So I'll go through this and then I'll answer Timothy's question. So what happens for a client, for someone to plug in to QuickCash? How does that work? Well, they would complete this form here. We'll send them a QuickCash Adobe packet to complete. And then our goal is within 24 hours of them completing that, we're going to transfer the $10,000 to them. We'll help them post those assets and help them liquidate those assets into cash. Timothy's question is regarding, I guess, specifically what's called the media, the information behind it. Because obviously when you and I are involved with these, let's call them debt portfolios. When we're involved with debt portfolios, we need to make sure that it's obviously credible and legitimate. Former President Trump, Donald Trump, and I'm not political, so I'm not advocating or denouncing him, but he's found himself into a bit of a legal quagmire because of supposedly claiming that he had some assets that were not validated, and thus some applications for funding that he and his companies applied for might have been fraudulent. Well, you and I are going to avoid that to the full extent that we need to. So we're going to always have documented assets that are transferring. We have a title transfer fee to even show that those assets have definitely been transferred. And this gets back to Timothy's point. With QuickCash, we're providing the media up front. We talked a little bit about this, but let's dig into this just so you all are up to speed with what Timothy's point is. Let's say that you and I went to Capital One and we said, Capital One, we want to buy $1 million of your defaulted mortgages, auto loans, credit card debts, whatever it is. What would happen is they would most likely sell us $1 million of face value of defaulted debt instruments for pennies on the dollar, so at a great discount. But what they would really give us is a spreadsheet. And the spreadsheet represents the accounts that you and I just bought, theoretically, or for example, from Capital One. Well, some people say, well, that's not real or that's not true, but that is the way the debt buying industry normally works. With the QuickCash program, though, we're going way above and beyond that. We're literally providing the media at the time of purchase. What does that mean? So the media is the underlying documentation. So not just a spreadsheet, but literally the contract that's been breached. And so when the participant in the QuickCash program, let's call them the debt buyer, when the debt buyer purchases the $10,000 of receivables, it's not a wink, wink, oh, sure, you have it. It's literally providing them copies of the breached contracts, which is called the media. That's well above and beyond what normally happens in the industry. That's not the norm. The norm is you get a spreadsheet, and if you need the media, you request the media, and the seller then provides the buyer the media in some time frame afterwards. That's normal. But with QuickCash, again, this is well above and beyond industry norms. We're literally providing the media up front. And that's good for validation, and that's also very effective in helping accelerate the liquidation of assets. So, Timothy, if I didn't answer your question, let me know. But I think that's a good question, a good comment, a good conversation for all of us to understand that when we're buying assets, that the industry norm is to not receive the media at the time. It's to literally receive a spreadsheet. But with QuickCash, we're going well above and beyond that and literally providing the media at the time of purchase. All right, so who else has questions, comments, concerns regarding the QuickCash program? All right, so Sarah is asking about the who. And so QuickCash was really designed for individuals that needed funding, but that yet didn't qualify for a loan. Because if they do qualify for a loan, we can run them through the credit and funding program here, get them a guaranteed $100,000, and that might be a more direct route. But when we have individuals that have an issue with their qualifications from any or all the 3 C's, then the QuickCash can be an alternative to help those individuals that don't yet qualify. And the key word is yet, right? We're not saying that they will never qualify. It's just if they don't. But to Sarah's point, which is true, is that we're having clients buy QuickCash portfolios that just see the value proposition in it that really aren't part of this group, that they're a bit more of this group. And again, we're starting to attract more sophisticated participants, people that are, again, buying multiple portfolios. But it's just fine. We have a deal pending. And again, pending deals are no more than a conversation, but we have a pending deal, and we were approached, so we didn't solicit. They're looking to buy $200 million of assets. Now, that's what they say. Are they just a big talker? I don't know, but I'm not misrepresenting it to you. We'll find out this week if they won, and by far that'll be the largest portfolio we've ever sold. The largest portfolio we sold to date is just over 3 million versus 200 million. But the point is, it's just fine for the average person that just needs 10,000 just for quick resolution versus these incredibly large amounts that start to make it sound unrealistic. Well, it's unrealistic maybe to the small guy, but the bigger players want bigger portfolios. And again, that is reflective of what normally happens in this industry. All right, does anyone else have questions, comments, concerns? All right, Terry's asking about the time frame, and it's true. We don't count weekends or holidays, and so we have a number of clients that have enrolled over the weekend in the QuickCash program. So our priority today will be to get the $10,000 to them today on Monday. We don't, our office isn't open on Saturdays and Sundays. And so that is an important point. We're talking about one business day. Usually it's the same business day. All right. And Juan's asking about uses of funds. The $10,000 doesn't have a restriction on uses of funds. And so, I mean, it could literally be used for anything. It's your money, your asset. All right. Any other questions that anyone has? All right. Malone's asking about the funding interview. So that's a little bit different than what we're on, but we'll go ahead and pivot over to that for a moment. So as we announced last week, we set up this very simple page that if you have prospects that you want us to close, you can go to here, click on schedule a call. It'll pop up our Calendly link, and then they can schedule. We don't have any availability today, but we do have lots of availability throughout the rest of the week and of course into the following month. So the funding interview is great if you want us to close deals. I was talking to one of our distribution partners, Lincoln, this morning. He was my first call at 7 a.m. Central. Lincoln has, he says, which I believe to be true, around 20 unclosed prospects. Lincoln's a smart guy. I think his degrees in psychology or something, but he's a bit of a talker and can kind of go off track. So Lincoln's fine with generating leads, but he's not very good at closing leads. And so Lincoln is, for example, someone that's going to start using the funding interview page so we can go ahead and get these folks closed for him at no cost, no ramifications. We're closing around 92, 93% of them. But back to QuickCash. Anyone else have any questions or thoughts on this, on the effectiveness of it, on the legality of it, on the process of it? Because it's certainly not meant for everyone. Not everyone will want QuickCash, but especially for those individuals that don't yet qualify for a loan but need money, and or those that don't want to borrow. They don't want to have to pay money back. They don't want to worry about interest rates. It's a great resource for both of them. All right. Well, very good. Well, that's what we needed to cover today. We'll see you back tomorrow morning. Have a great day. Bye-bye.